Poland, January 27, 1945. The war was collapsing. German forces were retreating across Eastern Europe, and somewhere beyond the snow and smoke, Soviet soldiers approached a place called Auschwitz. They expected resistance, gunfire, another battlefield. But when the gates finally opened, they found something far worse. Not soldiers, not weapons, but children with hollow eyes, men too weak to stand, women wrapped in blankets beside piles of bodies frozen in the snow. One soldier later admitted, nothing in the war had prepared them for what they saw inside those fences. Auschwitz-Birkenau was not simply a prison camp. It was a machine built for human extermination. Stretching across miles of barbed wire, guard towers, railway tracks, and crematoria, Auschwitz became the largest killing center created by Nazi Germany during World War II. More than 1 million people were murdered here. Most were Jews. Others were Poles, Roma, Soviet prisoners of war, and political prisoners from across occupied Europe. The Nazis called it the final solution. But there was nothing civilized about it. This was genocide engineered with terrifying precision. The trains arrived day and night. Inside the cattle cars, families were packed so tightly they could barely breathe. Many traveled for days without food or water. Some died before the doors even opened. The survivors stumbled onto the platform, blinded by floodlights, and shouted orders. Then came the selection. Left, right, live, die. A single motion of an SS officer's hand decided everything. At Auschwitz, your name was taken first, then your hair, then your clothes, and eventually, your life. Many prisoners were told they were heading for showers. Instead, they were marched into gas chambers disguised as bathhouses. Fake shower heads hung from the ceiling, the doors locked behind them. Then came the poison gas. Within minutes, entire rooms fell silent. Outside, the crematoria burned day and night. The smoke rising above Auschwitz carried human ashes across the Polish sky. This was not chaos. It was organization. Industrialized death on a scale the world had never seen before. Then the soldiers discovered the warehouses. Mountains of shoes, children's toys, eyeglasses, suitcases with names carefully painted on the side. One suitcase belonged to a little girl from Prague. She arrived at Auschwitz with her mother. Neither survived the day. Another still carried family photographs inside. Tiny fragments of lives. The Nazis tried to erase forever. And yet, even inside Auschwitz, humanity refused to disappear completely. Prisoners shared scraps of bread with strangers. Doctors secretly treated the sick without medicine. Parents lied to terrified children, telling them everything would be okay. Some prisoners risked execution to document Nazi crimes for the outside world. In a place designed to destroy human dignity, acts of kindness became acts of rebellion. As Allied forces uncovered camp after camp, the truth became impossible to deny. Photographs from Auschwitz spread across newspapers around the world. People stared at images of skeletal survivors and mass graves, struggling to believe human beings had done this to one another. The Nazis tried to destroy the evidence before fleeing. Gas chambers were dynamited. Documents were burned. But Auschwitz itself remained, a silent witness to one of the greatest crimes in human history. Today, millions visit Auschwitz every year. The railway tracks still lead into Birkenau. The fences still stand. And the silence still feels heavy. Because Auschwitz is more than a memorial. It is a warning. Places like Auschwitz do not begin with gas chambers. They begin with hatred, with propaganda, with people deciding that other human beings are somehow less human than themselves. That is how civilization collapses, not all at once, but step by step. And that is why Auschwitz must never be forgotten. Because history has already shown the world what happens when hatred goes unchecked, and humanity cannot afford to learn that lesson twice.